At Net at Work, mentorship is more than a program, it's how we invest in each other and grow as a team. Today, we're highlighting the connection between Chris Smith, practice director, and Danielle Cook, project manager, two colleagues brought together through our Women at Work mentoring program. Their story is one of mutual growth, honest conversation, and the kind of support that helps both people thrive. Thanks for joining me today. Let's
Thank
dive
you.
right into it. Chris, what
Yes.
inspired you to become a mentor through the Women at Work program?
Well, I think if everybody who's worked with me inside of Net at Work before realizes I just love to get in some good fun conversations. And so when I was asked, I thought, man, I love to be in all honesty, I love the concept of how do you get to the next best version of yourself? And you can apply that to so many different areas. One thing that I really love is I love leadership, I love strategy. And so those are two things where I think, man, if I can help share anything that I've picked up along the way to help turn on some new light bulb moments for somebody else, I thought, that's what had me excited about it. And the other part, that I'll say is what's really cool about this is it's no longer Danielle, right? It's Danny. Danny Cook is what happens when you get to know people like that. You even get to bring down to the shorter names.
That's great. I love that. Danny,
Yes.
what made you
Yeah.
want to join the mentoring program and what were you hoping to gain out of it?
So I'd seen it initially right after I started Network, but I wasn't here long enough to join. But it was in the back of my mind that on the next cycle, I think I want to do this. Um, I don't really know what I wanted to get out of it. I didn't know a ton about it. I just thought it's a good opportunity to get out of my little silo and just focusing on what I'm doing to start focusing on things outside of like my day to day stuff. So I went in with sort of a lofty idea of what I wanted to work on and what to do, but it ended up being a very sort of, I guess, organic process of how we went through the whole thing and defined goals and what I want to get out of it. But it was more curiosity out of anything. There wasn't a ton of intention initially. It was just more curiosity.
So I'm just curious, like speaking of curiosity, so when you were partnered with Chris and I've been in the organization for a little bit less than a year. And I like Chris has a reputation. Like he has like a very big personality. He's known for being an outgoing kind of person. And in his role as a practice director, I imagine like he kind of has to be to kind of unify people and bring them together. So when you heard that Chris was going to be your mentor, what was your initial kind of like reaction to that?
So I think I already met Chris on the intro on the connected work, like welcoming employees call
Mhm.
because I don't work in that practice. So I was actually excited to work with someone who's outside of my practice. Again, I'm so focused on what my day-to-day stuff that it was someone new in the organization. Turns out he's also in the greater Dallas area. So we're not super far, even though we haven't actually met yet in
Still
person. We
got to do
will.
that.
We still
Yeah.
have to do that. But I was excited to just work with someone different, and also in a role that I see as like obviously that's that higher level. So I feel like there's more guidance and like true mentorship that can be gleaned from it.
Fabulous, fabulous. And Chris, I know you mentioned that you're just excited to kind of like share yourself and you're
hmm
learning with someone in this mentoring program. What did you hope to bring to that relationship?
Something that there's a couple of thoughts that I have on that. One is I just think back of relationships and different people in my career that have just helped. It's just bring clarity, and bring just this next perspective that I think has been so important on where I wanted to go inside of my career. The second part though is I think if you're out there and you're thinking about would I ever want to get into a mentor or mentee relationship, I think one of the things that you have to kind of think about is it's not about one person being smarter than the other. It's not this relationship here. It's this relationship here with both people going into it's like how do we both get into some really good things that can help make us better at the end of the day. And it is a give relationship. I love that. I just love because of the impact that it's had on me. I love if I do have an opportunity to do it. I love it because you walk away with these rich, deep connections that listen, Danny and I talked a lot about work stuff. We talked a lot about personal life. They're like, it is something that it goes way beyond just the, hey, let's focus on work problems. You
Hmm.
focus on getting to know each other. And there's this just what I would say is this beautiful relationship that is equally rewarding in it when you do these that goes above and beyond just the actual process of the relationship, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that does. That does. That's a great segue into my next question for both of you. Was there a moment early on when you realized that this relationship was really like working and you both were kind of learning something from each other?
I
Was it when
I did.
Danny came
I
out,
think
when you transitioned from Danielle to Danny?
so. Yeah. Well, there's that, but also so you can already tell Chris has like a lot of enthusiasm. He comes in, you right away can tell there's just like a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. I'm far more reserved. I like things like very even keeled. And should we say I fear change? I don't like change. I like things to kind of, even though I want things to be different, it's like I'm good with what I know. And his enthusiasm for being uncomfortable and trying new things. And I feel like I was picking that up, that even though I was like, well, I don't know where I'm going to go with this, but like, that's okay. Let's just see what happens here. And it's contagious, but it also like it helped with a bit of a mind switch in tackling things that I don't know. I wasn't sure about. It's like, okay, well, I don't know this. Well, great. It will be uncomfortable until I figure this out. So let's just figure it out. And so that was, I still do that. So I'm actually quite grateful for that because otherwise I'd be like tiptoeing into different things.
And I think something that Danny, when we if we rewind back to probably the first call that we had
Yeah.
after, the initial kickoff, I want to say the first place we started was talking about family.
Yeah.
And, you know, we share some dysfunctions inside of that world. But what I think it does too is it brings down the wall of, because these are very trusting relationships. And so how can you be in a relationship where you want to get better if you feel like you're being judged and vice versa, right? Like, so I think our family kind of backgrounds and some of the
Yeah.
dynamics, like that was something where we were like, okay, this is something that we are both vulnerable yet,
Yeah.
like in very similar things. We both have, even though we don't live on farms, we both have
Bit of a zoo.
farmhouses of animals, and Danny's got chickens, and you never know on a thunderstorm what's going to show up in her office.
Do
That
any
getting to know each other before you get into some of the sensitive professional stuff that, like
Mm.
you're really exposing yourself. I think that's when I knew, like, oh man, this is going
Yeah,
to be
this
great,
is so
because we just
fun.
both dove into
Hmm.
sharing a lot up front.
It really establishes trust between the two of you, and I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
allows you to kind of, like you said, share some of those vulnerabilities. Um, so Danny, when you did start to transition those conversations and things got into what you wanted to learn about or improve with how you're showing up every day at work, how do you feel Chris supported you in that development?
He showed me a few tips, a few programs, things that I wasn't maybe utilizing to the best ability. And I would come to him with like the problem of like, here's what I'm trying to resolve. And then we would work through different solutions and ideas of how to manage situations. And, I'm a project manager. So it was even just like, how do I just stay on top of my tasks on top of everyone else's? And it kept evolving. So he like almost put a drop in the bucket of like, hey, have you tried doing this? And then as soon as I mastered that, it's like, oh, well, now this other thing has come up and like, let's build on that. And we just kept building on each thing. And I feel like I wouldn't say it's a well-oiled machine now, but it's like, if I look back like 6 months, 8 months ago, I have a whole different process of how I do, how I do things. And I think it's made me a much stronger project manager. I think it just also made me more confident personally to know that like, okay, this is going to be difficult. It's a challenge. It's uncomfortable. And it's like, okay, gloves off, let's go. And that sort of came with all of that.
That's
And we
awesome.
both, Katie, we both subscribe to recognizing that getting out of your comfort zone is growth, right? And so inside of that, you do have to. What can be somewhat of a relief is to know that it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to feel like this, and it's okay to to get through some of these things because on the other side it will continually get better. So I'd say we both subscribe to that mindset, which I think is really important. And then the second thing I just want to reiterate what Danny said is you can go through these and you can put these big lofty goals because of the excitement of this. And then you can let yourself down when it's just too much in
Hmm.
the scheme of work and everything else. So I think we did a good job of giving grace on the sense of winning here is not completing a bunch of activities. It's getting better, recognizing, and I always say that next best version. And then once you feel good, like you're not just burn and turn, then building off of that. So we took it at a pace where it was more about getting it really, I would say, like cemented in, like with some of these things versus going through a whole bunch of stuff in
Yeah,
in
it was like
6 months.
foundational stuff. I feel like it
Yeah.
was some foundational stuff, and then as that kind of gets established, now I feel like I'm going into other areas as well. But like the being outside of your comfort zone. So like I know intellectually that when you're outside of your comfort zone, that's where growth happens. So it's almost like a mental exercise of like, okay, do this even though it's not going to be easy. Chris runs into it. Like I think you get like a thrill and you get like, oh, this is going to be so uncomfortable. I'm so happy. Like, whereas I'm like, okay, this will not be easy, but like, let's do it.
So, Chris, like knowing that
Yeah.
about, like, you know that about yourself, that
Mhm.
you're not afraid to face something that's uncomfortable because you understand that there's growth on the other side of it. So, from Danielle's perspective, who maybe is a little bit more cautious about the things that she starts and gets into, and maybe wants to have like, I'm like hearing that she wants to have like a better understanding of what the process is and how
Yeah.
things are going to go, like the project manager brain. So, how did you tailor your approach, knowing that you and Danny are both like very different in how you kind of tackle new things?
Yeah. No, that's a really, really good question. I think something that I always think about is if if I always imagine people have this wall that can just go up really quickly, and it's not triggered by being mean. It's triggered by, oh my gosh, that puts me in a sense of like panic because I'm kind of in this noisy brain mode and like just stop. So part of what I think worked really well in here is we would start off not just coming in hot and straight into a problem. We'd warm up a little bit. So we're in this more energetic state, where our minds are just more open. And I think, I truly believe this. I don't know. It's not, again, back in hierarchy of who's who. I don't know the right answer for things. What I can do is I can be a really good sounding board to help just think a little bit deeper because sometimes what we see as surface level barriers, there's really something there. So I think part of it is just having the patience of discussion. Like, hey, let's kind of break it down. Let's talk about what do you think is really, stopping you from, and these were like we were working through real things, right? I'm not going to share the things that we were working through, but we were working through real things where we would give patience of it. And I think again, how we do that is um my role is to not let Danny in this moment just say I can't do it or it
Hmm.
is what it is. My role is to, hey, what is something new you can try? And I think that's, part of it is just making it not seem scary. And then also, Danny, maybe me sharing some back too of like things where, "Hey, let me tell you some of my bad stories, and I think those things come together. Oh, I've got bad stories. Yeah. But is that a fair kind of way
Yeah.
to describe how we work
Yeah.
through some of this?
Yeah, it was a lot of like, well, just try. I mean, just see what happens. Like there's no pressure of it takes the pressure off of like, okay, you're now going to do this thing and you're going to implement this and whether it works or not, you're going to stick to it. It's more like, well, just try, like see if this would help or not. And there's even been times since the program ended where like I'm very, AI like I just don't like the whole AI thing. Like, and we've had conversations about all of this stuff where I'll message him periodically, and I was like, "Hey, thanks for showing me how to do this thing because I just use this, this, and this, and like because of whatever." And I found like where these lessons of just try, just see, and like if it doesn't work, then adjust. But like it might work.
Would you say that's like the biggest like takeaway that you got out of the program is to just try?
Yeah, it's the getting out of your comfort zone
Hmm.
is a big one, and I think especially when you're working in a remote setting, which I think like 99% of us at the company are, and everyone's busy with their workload. It's hard to think outside of what your immediate tasks are. And firstly, the more organized, at least for me, the more organized I am and on top of it in terms of the project management part, it opens me up to do other things and to look at different things. Um, and it's that that idea of step out of your comfort zone. Like you don't know what's going to happen. Like it might work, it might not, but you're in an environment that actually ultimately wants you to succeed and wants your growth, and you will get something out of it. You'll either learn it didn't work, okay, what can I do better? Or you'll be surprised at like, wow, I didn't think this was going to work, and now like I've already improved so much, and I feel like you can actually see your growth from day one to the end, and then you know through everything, and then beyond, because we still continue the relationship and it's still ongoing. And I think for a lot of people who've gone through this program, it's ongoing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And something you said makes me want to ask Chris. What did you notice in Danielle through this relationship that you started, the formal piece of it? Like, when did you really start noticing some shifts in how she was approaching her work, or when she was actually like implementing the advice that you were sharing?
Because we would do screen shares and walk through it. You know, like
Yeah.
we would take real problems and walk through it. And then we met. Actually, you're bringing up a really good point of some of the behind the scenes things to think about. Is um, Danny and I are not rule followers in the sense of we're good at just making decisions in the moment to go, what's the right thing to do? So the program gives guidelines of when to meet, how long to meet. We said, you know what? Accountability, let's meet weekly. Let's do Fridays because we know that's the day that's most protected. That's not going to have a lot of meetings. And so we met on Friday. So we had a high frequency of connection. And so we were able to see, it wasn't like she had a long time to go off and then we'd come back. So we would see the progress there and we would work in things real time. I think that's one. The second part that I think is we got really clear just on a few things. There's two things that we said this would be success to get even better if
Yeah.
inside of these. And we said, let's start with the one that we feel is most important. And
Hmm.
so with that, it just seemed like progress was coming in really like
Yeah.
just from the beginning
Yeah.
of and the other part I would say that is really cool about Danny is certain people just want to get better. When you want to get better, you're more open to feedback. You have just this presence with you. And I would say that's probably, I mean, it's part of why you joined it. So you came in with a really healthy mindset in the beginning of
Yeah.
really wanting to try and get something out of it.
Yeah. I didn't know why, but I was like,
Yeah.
I know that there's something.
Yes.
But
Well, I want to
yeah,
shift gears a little bit and ask both of you, what does it say to you that Men at Work invests in the program?
gosh, how do I say this? In previous places where I've worked, you very much felt like you were just a cog in the wheel. And stuff like this, when you see the different initiatives that the company has, like welcoming new employees and, talking about diversity and then adding, the women at work, which is not just for women, it's, for everyone. You see that there's an investment in your skills, and hopefully it'll benefit that everyone stays in the company and continues to grow within it. But these are skills you take with you. This is confidence that it helps, instill in yourself. And I think it's great when a company actually invests and allows people to take time out of their day, out of their work day, towards personal development and professional development.
Agree. I just, one of the things that I love inside of Net at Work is I believe a big part of your career that you don't even know is going to happen is through the connections of people you meet
Mhm.
along the way. And, in my career through several different companies, I've never gone into a company cold without a relationship. And I've never gone into different roles without, having some kind of relationship form. So one of the things that I got to participate in 2 weeks ago maybe is, I went and spoke with so inside of Net at Work, we have a program with first year associates that are coming out of school and are interested in being consultants and professional services. So I got to speak to them just coming out of their year one, and I just shared part of my career path of, not that it's the right career path, just showing some behind the scenes stuff. what all this stuff does, women at work, mentoring, net at work, when we bring new colleagues on and we have everybody in the company invited on every Monday for any new hires that start, what we do a good job of is remembering people are net at work. Net at work's just a company. The people and the connections formed inside of here are what makes it really good or not. And so these types of opportunities, when companies miss out on giving chances and vehicles inside of the business to meet each other and share these things, they just have a weaker fabric of people, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love that. And I think the culture of men at work is strong, and we are a remote first organization, and that can be really hard to maintain when everyone's scattered across the country in different time zones. I'm up in Canada. So the fact that um, we have such a strong investment in first year associates and women and really just the person behind the work really speaks to who men at work is. And I think we're also in the tech space, which is fast moving. It's changing all the time. I'm gonna just love to get your thoughts on how you see this program and other programs within Net at Work kind of helping to advance women in technology and really making a difference in their long-term career, not just their time here at Net at Work, which we hope is very long.
Um, I'm just going to say again, it takes you out of your day-to-day mindset and and especially when you work with people through mentoring and other initiatives, when you're working with people outside of your particular area of expertise, it opens you to the different opportunities, and then you kind of get inspired when you meet someone who's at, a different level or what have you. But it's the getting out of just your little silo, I think is, at least from my perspective, has been the biggest thing because it opens you up to other areas, and it also gives you an opportunity to learn from other people and things you wouldn't be normally exposed to because again, you are remote, you're sitting by yourself in your office working with just your little area, and that I think has been the biggest exposure.
And I think when a company offers things, regardless, of which segment is being and who's being helped. So for, what we're doing, women at work, and then under, just so everybody knows, the mentor mentee program was sponsored by our women in work um, community, but it was all different, combinations of people, experience, sexes, race, like all of that is something that, there's a lot of diversity in there of how that came together. But what I believe is when a company creates pathways for these things to happen, it increases the likelihood that people will do that. Because just imagine we didn't have women at work. Imagine we didn't have this mentor mentee program. Would Danny have gone and had the same discussion, doing an after hours event with a network of people she's not necessarily and so it brings a sense of community already established by we're all net at work employees. And then by having this where we can work within our, we're all most of our life we're working right now, right? That's where the majority of our time is. It just opens that up. And I think that's something that's really cool about this is we're probably doing things that we wouldn't do if Net at Work didn't offer it, which means we would have slower progress in some of these things we've,
Mm.
had wins in, I guess.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and just one more thing, and I think Chris, you'd mentioned it before, of like it's not always just like the hierarchical, the fact that in these programs it's open to everyone. So you actually also get to meet and work with people who are in like the executive, the upper management, and then like consultants, like across the board, and it,
Mhm.
it evens it out in that sense because you're learning from everyone. Um, and it doesn't show like you have to be either at a certain progression or a certain
Mhm.
area or level within your industry or your career to join something like this. It's open to everyone, which I think is great.
And speaking of everyone, what would you say to someone who is thinking about becoming a mentor or joining a program like this to be a mentee?
Well, Danny, you've been starting them off, so I'll take one and give you some time to rest here for a second. Um, so the way that this came about is I had just started in January of this year. February, this program started. There was an opening available for a mentor, and Gail, our COO, asked me if I'd be interested in it. Now, I could have had all the excuses in the world. I'm new, I'm just starting out. I'm overwhelmed. But again, I like to run, as Danny said. I'll just, oh, that's great. That's going to make my life more hectic. Yes, let's
Yeah.
do it. Um, And so, I went and did it. What I would share is nowhere did it make me fall apart on my day job. Nowhere did it take away from that. Those are things that our brains will tell us, "Don't do it, you're too busy right now." They would have told Danny the same thing, but we both took a slow down to speed up moment, and we're better off for having done this, and it did not impact what we our day jobs are under net at work. So what I would say is, you'll if you're interested in something like this, your natural place is going to be, "I'm too busy." Shut that down and just accept it. Just do it. Just do it. I
Yeah.
promise you it'll be worth it.
I really love that slow down to speed up. And from what
Yeah,
I heard from Danny, like this experience really did help her
Hmm.
speed up in the long run with her processes and how she works.
Hmm.
So Danny, back to you. What would you say to someone who's thinking about starting a mentorship program or getting involved in one?
Just do it. You're going to gain something from it. You will find the time. It's actually not as labor intensive or as much like initially also you think, oh, I don't have the time for this, but it's actually not a massive commitment. And I think it's important because it forces you to sort of step off the path that you're on just for a moment to see, is this the path I want to continue on? Can I do anything better about it? Or is this going to lead me to something different? Um, and if you don't actually make that conscious decision to do that, you're just gonna before you know it, it's the end of the year and another year's gone by, and you're just sort of a hamster on the wheel doing the same thing. So I would definitely encourage anyone to do this, whether it's a mentor mentee. I think as a mentor, maybe I would feel a bit more anxiety because it feel like you feel like you have to come like with like I know everything and I'm going to yeah, and it's not. It's really
and it's
not. It's
not.
very
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not. It's very collaborative. It's just very much like you're forming a relationship. You have a soundboard to just discuss what you're going through with someone who's going to have a different perspective, and that's really all it is. And I think even within the mentor mentee, I think there's things I learned from Chris, and I think there's things Chris learned from
totally.
me. So you're kind of doing it, both for each other. So I would definitely say anyone, join. You're going to benefit from this.
And by the end, you become friend tours.
Yeah.
We'll be submitting that to the dictionary.
Yeah.
Um, well, our time today is coming to a close. So I just wanted to give both of you an opportunity to say any final thoughts about the Women at Work mentoring program and your overall experience.
Yeah, I'll say I'm a better person for knowing Danny. We have
Yeah.
ongoing chats now. We actually still keep it going, and so we've got
Mhm.
a monthly touch base just to keep this going. So it's not and that was a personal thing that we just decided. And so I would say it's worth jumping into. That's probably my only thing is do it, see what you get out of it. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Pretty much the same. You won't regret it. It's nice to do something for yourself that's outside of your day-to-day thing.
And if you're not sending animal pics back and forth with the employee and you're
Yeah.
not seeing chickens coming inside,
Yeah.
then you're missing out, you know?
Need to see these chickens.
Next
Oh
episode,
gosh.
next one.
Next
Next
Yep.
episode.
episode.
Next episode. He's got more animals than me. I just have
Yes.
chickens and dogs. He's got like 20,000 dogs and God knows what else is in there.
Cats.
Cats and
Yeah.
dogs and
A
yeah.
big thank you to both Chris and Danielle for sharing their story and reminding us what mentorship can truly mean. And when we make space to support and learn from each other, we all grow personally and professionally. So whether you're thinking about becoming a mentor or stepping into that mentee role or just looking for ways to grow, take this as your sign to lean in. Because when we invest in people, everybody wins.